Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds, and we're going to do an update on the cutout that we did out of that big old rotten tree somebody dropped and had no idea there was bees in there. If you haven't watched that video, I'm going to leave that up here in the link. In tomorrow's video, we're going to be adding space to these two hives. Now, there's not a lot of activity. It's really cooled down today, but you need to get into your bees if you're in this part of the country, because looks can sure be deceiving. Look at all those bees. The other one is just as big. And we're going to be getting into that tomorrow, because if we don't get space on those colonies, they're going to swarm. And it doesn't matter if it's 49 degrees today. If they are packed and they have plenty of food resources and they have too much pollen, which happens sometimes here in Tennessee, the queen runs out of room to lay and they will swarm. People are catching swarms here in Tennessee right now. But that's tomorrow's video. So in this video, we pulled out of that rotten maple tree about 3-ish frames of bees, and it really wasn't that large, but we used the apame frame, we tied a little bit in, and also wanted to show you what I did to keep them alive, because we didn't feed back their combs. See, I could have crushed all of their resources and just, you know, done that, but one, that takes a lot of time. I knew I already had combs full of honey, and that's what we gave them, is 2 combs with honey in them. So I just give them a little bit of smoke here. We're also going to feed them. I kind of have given them a little bit of a time to get settled to their new hive. And 2 days ago, it was 70-odd degrees Fahrenheit, and it was very warm. And these bees were bringing in lots of pollen. So we have empty apame frames here. I'm going to be exchanging those for some of these with just a little bit of starter foundation. And let's see if the queen's doing any laying or anything like that. That's my main concern. It's not huge, but you know, it's still, this is pretty exciting, and thankfully the tree was really rotten. Wow, okay, they're starting to work. Look at that right there. There is new drawn comb. Now, I'm actually going to be removing that, and we haven't fed them at all. This is just from what they've made themselves off of the 2 honey frames we left in there. And I'm going to be giving them foundation. I'm fixing to show you why. So, this is a little off center. Now, I haven't evened the hive out. Now, that's still pretty good. You could fix that. What you need to do, if you're going to let them just do it like that, though, is you're going to have to, oh, Laura, what's the word? You got to level the hive. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. I have too many hives on my mind. Anyways, let's get in here and see what's going on. Now, the bees are going to be testy because it's cool. You can see we have rubber bands up here where we rubber band the combs, and this one's already gone. So they've already cut through that one. And that's the nice thing of using rubber bands and stuff like that, is the fact that they are going to chew them up and spit them out. Alright, so this is just honey right here. They have to have that to stay warm. I'm just going to slide this one back down. It's still very heavy. They're going to need some additional feed to start drawing comb. And bees are drawing comb a little bit here in Tennessee. If you feed them hard right now, they're going to start drawing a good bit of comb if they have a lot of bees. But we don't want them to swarm either, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. This colony's not going to swarm anytime soon. Alright, these are the combs that we put into place. You can see the rubber bands, and they're doing a good job, but you can kind of see how they're wearing them out up there. And this was almost all capped brood for the most part. There really wasn't a lot of good frames of worker brood. There was some drone brood. I didn't want to give that to them because, one, it was going to be more space they were going to have to guard from small hive beetles. Plus, the drones don't really help a whole lot with colonies, especially when they're going through a stressful period. But look at that. The bees have tied this in really well, drawn a little bit of comb up here. Once these rubber bands come off, they'll be just like this one over here, and the bees will have attached it to the frame, and this will be a workable frame. And I don't see the queen on this. Remember, we marked her, and I marked her with the green dot. Many people asked why, because this year's color is blue, but more than likely, that queen was mated last year. And goodness, for all we know, she might be a 2-year-old queen, and this might be her 3rd season, and she might have needed a red dot, but we gave her a green one so it'd be easier to find. All right, let's see. They've eaten out of this one. Let's see what we got. Oh, there she is. Don't you like that little green dot right there? And I am seeing all kinds of eggs down in the cell. Laurel, can you see any of those down in there? And this comb's not all the way drawn, but there was a good bit of honey in it, and they have sucked most of it out. And all of that bee bread that you see down in there is all brand new. And let's see, we pulled them out, oh goodness, Laurel, was that a week ago? Something like that. It was really close to a week ago if it wasn't. And yeah, so the thing of it is though, they're going to eventually run out of this food. We need them to draw comb. They need to draw comb. So that queen has more room to lay, more room to store resources, all that kind of stuff. So we are going to scoot all this over. And definitely, about pinch that one. Get out of here. Now let's take these that have the just little starter strips, and I really like the fact that you can crush them up here with the Apame frame, and then it's done. I don't have to melt any wax, and you can save yourself a little bit of money like that. Just kind of keep an eye on the things and make sure that the bees are drawing them correctly. I'm curious to see how well that's going to work. And then I'm going to come back and pull these 4 out and add more strips to those, because those don't have any strips. I don't have any more done. What I could do, and what I probably should do, is that the Apame has a little divider board that can be slid down in here to help section off the colony and make it a little bit better. I might do that, but honestly, I probably won't. I typically don't anyways. But so now we're going to smoke the bees down. We're going to give them a little bit of pollen patty because we have had nothing but rain lately. Few days of flying, but we have gotten soaked twice just in the last 3 days working bees. So we're going to give them just a little pat of patty here. Make sure they don't run out of protein, because right now these bees need young, new larvae being raised, and keep that going. So we're not going to give them too much. And then we are going to add these feeders, which is going to also help keep the heat down just a little bit. And then also give them a little bit of feed. I'll show you how we're going to use those. So I'm just going to use one. Each one of these holds half a gallon. All right, so we are going to pull this up. Now you got to make sure that these are facing the correct direction. Right now, look at this end, Laurel. So you got this all open right here. I really don't want the bees getting full access to this. So we're going to take this out, flip it around, and now they can only access this little chamber, and we're going to divide it. And some people get little tiny like matchsticks and put them down in there as little floats. I'm not going to do that, but I've heard that works pretty well. Now, here we have some syrup. We are just going to pour that in. Now this syrup has been warmed, and it's probably 1.5 parts sugar to 1 part water. I don't measure anything around here. We're in too big of a hurry. Now I'm going to get this bee off of here so it doesn't get trapped up in there. And there we have it. And now we have our insulated lid. We've given them feed. That little feed is so important. Big colonies like this one and like those, they have tons of bee bread. They have tons of honey. They don't really need fed like this one does. This one, if I started feeding it, it's going to swarm probably within a handful of days. But your young little colonies could be totally different. It doesn't even really matter if there's a good flow. You get 3 or 4 days worth of rain or some bad conditions and everything changes. And just a little spot of feed like that can really help smooth the gaps for this colony to keep it going forward. This colony can afford and has the resources for those hiccups when you get some bad weather. But in little colonies like this, it affects them a lot. So just a little bit of help from the beekeeper can really help your bees keep growing and get that momentum that they really need, especially when they go through a period of stress like being dropped in a tree and then hauled to a new location, put in a new beehive and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, if you have any questions about the video, leave them below. And this hive tool, this right here, and all of this If you're curious where it's at, I'm going to leave it in the comments below where you can check it out. Thanks for watching our videos.